everyone. This is Karina from Canadian SME Small Business Magazine. Welcome to the Canadian SME Podcast, a podcast for Canadian small and medium businesses. In our podcast, we interview Canadian experts and entrepreneurs to give small business owners access to expert knowledge that helps them grow their enterprises. Our mission is to empower Canadian small and medium enterprises and help them reach a bigger audience through our platform. We want to thank our banking partner RBC, shipping partner UPS, and accounting software partner Xero for making this initiative possible. In today's competitive business landscape, small businesses often struggle to establish their presence and gain traction in their respective industries. However, with the advent of digital platforms, there is a unique opportunity for small businesses to connect, collaborate, and grow their networks. With today's discussion, we intend on learning about the resources that eQuo provides in creating a supportive habitat for the SMB community. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking with Barry Hillier, the founder and CEO of eQuo. Barry Hillier is a quintessential bootstrap entrepreneur who loves to inspire, ideate, build, and disrupt. And he has learned through his experience that building never happens in a straight line. eQuo is much more than a business endeavor for Barry. It's a passion to provide a voice for small so we can build a community supporting entrepreneurs around the world. Barry has successfully launched digital ad agency Dashboard and multiple SaaS companies in the past, including Glovebox and Bumper. Barry is an active advisor with Founders Institute Forum for women entrepreneurs and other startup and scale-ups in the ecosystem. Hey, Barry, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Karina, and thank you very much for having me today.
No, thank you for coming into our podcast studio today.
Now, this is really an exciting opportunity, and I really appreciate what you're doing with SME Magazine. The focus and the conversation on small business has really been lacking, and I think what you're doing is a real focal point and highlight that is really raising topics that are critical in order for founders to be successful. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Barry. Absolutely. And we are super serious about building this community where we can provide every resource that we can to our SMB community.
No, it's very apparent, and thank you very much. And as I mentioned, as we're building out eQuo, I'm looking forward to being able to support every effort that you're doing in the same way that you've been incredibly supportive as we're getting our community launched as well. So I'm looking forward to not just today, but all the things we're going to be able to do down the road.
Likewise. Now, Barry, you've excelled in multiple roles throughout this professional journey. And I'm certain there's been lots of learning, unlearning, some bittersweet moments as well. But we'd love to hear it from you. How has your journey been so far, and what has it shaped you into?
First, thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. The journey has been a very typical entrepreneurial journey. There have been lots of ups and downs. There have been a lot of points where I really wasn't sure about how I was going to be able to continue on. But overall, I think what I started to learn as I progressed, especially across different industries with different companies and different startups, was the most important learning was, how to keep going forward in spite of what will be multiple failures. It's kind of crossing that desert one foot at a time, hoping that you're going to see something that isn't a mirage, at the end of it. But what I started to learn as I got older from a personal standpoint, not just from the professional standpoint, is in looking back how much I started to evolve, not just as an entrepreneur and a founder, improving skills, learning how to deal with cash flow, all of those things, but started to really understand my role as a founder in developing better relationships. And for me, being not just a better founder or a better manager or a better mentor, but a better human being. And, as you get older, I look at my younger self and I just shake my head. So that journey has been a continuous journey that I hope's made me into just a better human being today, where I feel like I know less than I've ever known in the past because I've been able to reflect on all of those failures, and not just business failures in the relationships that I've had along the way with staff, with co-founders, with so many other people that founders interact with. And it's been that journey that's really driven me, not just personally, but also what started to really create the core foundation behind what we're starting to build right now with eQuo.
Right. It's real and authentic, and I love that, because journey is about ups and downs.
Yeah.
It's actually the process rather than the end product. When you achieve the success, when you're at the tip of the success hill, what's next? It's actually the process.
Yeah. It's people ask me, how would you describe being an entrepreneur? What makes successful entrepreneurs? I'm a big advocate. Entrepreneurs are people that fall down 7 times and stand up 8. It's that ability to keep evolving and that motivation, though, to stand up even when everything and everyone seems that it's stacked against you.
Now, this role definitely demands, a lot of passion and commitment, tireless efforts to help the businesses. Barry, could you tell us why and how you get interested in the small business advocacy world?
Yeah, it's a mission that I'm very passionate about. It's probably the thing that I'm the most passionate about. Where this started was the foundation being a small business founder myself. I've built and sold a few companies, and in exploring that process of what I wanted to do next, and I reflected on all of the difficulties that I had as a small business founder. 2 things started to happen during that time, and this started really about 5 years ago. The first part was I was trying to figure out, after I sold my company, what I wanted to do next. And when I looked back at all of the difficulties in not having the right resources, not being able to connect with the right people, not having the knowledge that I needed to really get to that next level, it started to also correspond to a personal journey of reflection. Because I was, as everybody else was in the world, also starting to experience the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, Truth and Reconciliation. So being an older white man, I was very much aware of my need to understand my role. And so I started a personal journey, reaching out to people, reading, watching videos, just trying to take all of this in, ask questions, be introspective. Well, because that was corresponding with my interest in small business, I started to realize that those 2 paths were merging, because small businesses, that you have 1.2 million in Canada, as you know, 583 million across the globe. But 80% of those businesses are made up of 8 core groups. You have women founders, you have Indigenous-led companies, Black-led companies, other persons from the visible majority. You have immigrants. You have persons with disabilities. You have persons over 60 who often get overlooked. There's real ageism out there also. And you have 2S LGBTQ+. So the corresponding evolution for me was recognizing that in supporting small businesses, you're actually also supporting those core groups. And there's a reason why those core groups tend to form the majority of small business as founders. And it's because it's where they're able to have more empowerment, not only of themselves, but financial empowerment, being able to grow and follow dreams without having society or other issues impact that. So as those 2 started to merge, the mission for me grew exponentially, because now it wasn't just about being supportive of small business, which is absolutely critical in terms of representing 70% of our jobs, vast chunk of global GDP, but also what would our communities look like without a thriving small business community? It adds flavor.
Right.
So all of these things kind of pulling together led me to really want to not only support small business, but to really understand the foundation of the people behind small business.
Lovely. I have to say that I love the thought process behind the amalgamation of your journey.
Yeah,
It's
thank you.
empowering and it's uplifting. And it definitely helps people, get that mindset that everything needs to be a why. There needs to be a why behind every
Absolutely.
step you take.
No, absolutely. And I think that why, when you have a mission that's bigger than you, I think that is really a foundation behind entrepreneurial success, that you're just not willing to let that fall, because you can't allow that to fail. And again, it goes back to fall down 7 times, stand up 8. Why do you keep standing up? Because that mission drives you.
Now, in a business, challenges are inevitable.
Yeah.
And no matter the size, but are there specific challenges that only an SMB community member faces?
Yeah.
And if so, what are the biggest challenges facing small businesses in Canada today?
I think that there are a number that every founder is going to relate to. I would say that universally, cash flow management is the number one. 1 out of 5 failed businesses was profitable. It was cash flow management that really set them back. And what holds so many companies from getting to that next level is the lack of financing and the lack of understanding of how to manage that cash flow. So being able to first be financially literate, but more importantly, to use that literacy to understand how it's impacting your business is absolutely critical. And then related to that, it's being able to fill in gaps. Most small business founders, and I'd say every big business started out as a small business. So I think that this is relatable to every founder that's out there. They've all experienced horrible setbacks. And they've all had major gaps, no matter how brilliant that they were. So being able to start a business because you love being a florist, or you love technology, or you love the coffee industry, or you love whatever it might be that you love. That's one thing. But being able to then have all of the skill sets in marketing, in branding, in sales, in operations, understanding the impact of legal structure, brand architecture, how to build a company that has the deeper understandings, depending on your industry, in operations like warehousing, 3PL, e-commerce. These are all things that most people don't have at the time, and they don't know who to turn to. And so the result is they're fumbling their way through. And when you don't understand or have the cash flow to manage that, often you run out of time, or you're not able to take advantage of certain opportunities. So to me, there are a lot of elements that small business owners find that they lack. But I'd say that the top 2 are, 1, cash flow, and then 2, key gaps in core knowledge sets based on those pillars that are required for you to be able to build and sustain your business.
Yeah, no, I strongly agree with your point of financial literacy.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's an important tool, and so is the financial advisor.
Totally. And that's also, you raise a really good point there, because I think a lot of founders fail to separate themselves from the business. And they need to understand how to set up the business in a way that's going to help them and their family be secure. So, a great example is often a lot of founders won't pay themselves, or they won't set things up so that they're in a position that even if they don't have the cash flow, that they pay themselves, loan that back to the company so that they can at least later, when the company is able to make those payments, they're able to at least recognize the value of the work that they're putting into the business. So there's so many areas there that I think are critical to not only protecting the business, but make sure that you protect the financial integrity of the founders themselves, because your long-term financial position, it could suffer or it could be furthered greatly depending on how literate you are.
Right. Now, obviously, with the proper preparation, small businesses can endure unprecedented times. Identifying areas of risk early is a critical step towards forming an effective strategy.
Yeah.
Now, eQuo's mission is to build a community of entrepreneurs, organizations, and individuals who share the vision of a thriving small business ecosystem around the world.
Yeah.
Barry, can you share any success stories or examples of how eQuo has helped Canadian small businesses?
Yeah, we're just starting out, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited to share one story in particular. There was a young Indigenous woman who was starting her own consulting company, and she was working on how to advise companies in terms of being able to work with Indigenous communities. And she had a great offer, which was to basically get sponsored to put on an event. And this was, again, one of those area gaps from a knowledge standpoint that she didn't have. How do you put on a event? How do you manage that event and all these different aspects? So she had actually reached out. We've got a Slack channel that we call our eQuopreneurs. And she had basically said, look, I need help. And what ended up happening was exactly what we wanted out of the community. All of these individuals provided not only some guidance, but a number of people said, I can help you with this aspect for the facility. I can help you with this aspect for signage. I can help you with this aspect when it comes down to catering. And so what ended up happening was the community came together and she was able to put on this incredibly successful event. And a lot of people are looking at big actions with big results. And I think it's important to recognize it's small things like that's what lead to big actions. Because now that she has put that together, she's now in a position to be able to take on more sponsorships, turn that into something that's recurring, not only creating new revenue for her, new visibility for her, but also now it's extending really critical messaging when it comes down to bridging the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities. So that was a really good example of how simple community support can help small businesses grow.
Lovely. It's actually inspiring as well. And I loved how every team member of yours listed that they're an equopreneur.
Yeah, it's that kind of came about by accident. Now I always like to give credit to the people that come up with these things, but somebody had been mentioning about we're a community that isn't just about the entrepreneur. We're a community that's about the people who love and support small businesses. And so they felt that equopreneur was a more fitting and more inclusive name, I guess you would call it.
No, I definitely feel it adds to your brand, your brand
you.
identity, and obviously it's identical.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after a short break. how eQuo's resources have helped and are helping Canadian small businesses. Now, Barry, as we look towards the future, small businesses in Canada are poised to play an increasingly important role in the country's economic growth and development.
Yeah.
We'd like to know, what's your viewpoint on the future of Canadian businesses?
I think when it comes down to Canadian business, I think that there's a lot of opportunity that is going to put Canada in a very unique place. I think when you take a look at our immigration policies and how they're increasing, we're looking at bringing in over 500,000 people. And when you take a look at immigrant entrepreneurs in particular, the stats actually show that immigrant entrepreneurs hire more staff than Canadian-born entrepreneurs, which hire a lot of staff. And when you take a look at the overall job growth and the opportunity in the country, it's driven by small businesses. So I think that the opportunity for small business in Canada in particular is one where we can become a North Star for the globe. Because when you take a look at our societal approach to not only immigration, but also how we see ourselves as a multicultural society. And we are a society that still has a lot of problems, specifically with Indigenous communities. The issues of the genocide that's happened are very real. Issues that are surrounding Black Canadians and a lot of the treatment that has happened with so many of these communities is real. What's also real is these are the communities that are jump-starting their own businesses also. So in time, what I see happening is not only are they going to be creating an incredible imprint in their local communities that's going to lend a diversity so that we don't become a large business, insert the brand name on every street with each business looking the same as any other city. You're going to have very unique and very vibrant businesses. And if we're able to support those businesses, we're going to have an export because those small businesses are going to become big businesses. And we can't just keep looking at the Shopifys of the world or the Lightspeeds, which are incredible Canadian tech success stories. We need to create more Canadian Goose stories, Lululemon stories.
Yes.
Those are opportunities. And because we're so resource heavy, a lot of these small businesses are also businesses that are helping to improve how we're extracting those resources. What are we doing to reduce environmental issues? And so small businesses have a real role to play in every aspect of our society. And if we're able to continue to support small business over the next few decades, we're going to also be able to show that that support is removing a lot of these false ideas about immigration taking away jobs when it's actually increasing jobs, that we're able to reduce myths when it comes down to race or gender or sexuality, because you're going to be seeing these successful businesses and the massive contribution that they're making to the local communities, to the cities, the regions that they're in, and to Canada as a whole. So where do I think small businesses are going to be? I think in Canada, if we support them, they're going to be at the forefront of a global revolution in terms of what small business can mean to solving a lot of issues globally.
100%. I strongly believe that businesses are a driving force for innovation, job opportunity, and economic prosperity in Canada. And so if I have to say, I'd say that the future holds is flying colors for our SMB community.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think it's because of work that like Canadian SME is doing with the magazine, with your conferences. It's providing that level of support that is helping these businesses get access to the resources and information that they need. So yeah, it's we're very aligned there.
Thank you. Now, on that note, Barry, any final thoughts or advice for our aspiring entrepreneurs?
Don't give up. I think when you're starting a business, it's really exciting at the beginning. And then you face this wall where you second guess yourself. And everybody experiences that. I think what's critical is follow that vision that you had, but don't start a business unless you feel so passionate about it. And it doesn't need to be a change the world. If you're passionate about flowers and you love how those flower bouquets make your customers feel, use that to drive you to create a little bit of light in the world, a little bit of happiness in the world. And recognize that this is a long game. I was just saying earlier today, that notion of fail fast, forgive my language, but I personally think that's bullshit. I think it's more important that you learn from your failures, that you get up from your failures, and that you keep going, because you don't know how far you're actually capable of going when you just keep pushing forward. And to me, find and connect with other people who have built businesses. I often hear people talk about, $1 million business as being a small business. But what I've said is, if you have ever built a business from nothing to $1 million, there's nothing small about it. So find those people around you who have done what you're hoping to do, and they're going to give you the support. And even if it's just, a coffee to vent over, it'll help you keep going. So just find those people as well.
Love it. I love how transparently you said the message. Even there are negatives, there are stresses around the world of business, but still you got to be positive and just go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's this is going to be the hardest thing you ever do when you start a company. And it's why so few people do it. But there are rewards, and so many founders could actually make more money had they just stayed in corporate world. But there's more than money behind starting your own business. There are freedoms. There are, there's the positive of all of the other things that come with you following your vision. And that's where you got to concentrate on the bigger picture. For me, the bigger picture was a lifelong journey that I think is hopefully making me into a better person. So, it's not about an exit. It's not about, having a bunch of VCs or investors check and say we got 10 times. It's not about that at all.
I hear you. I'm with you, Barry. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry, for sharing your indispensable insights and journey. Your expertise in this field was truly invaluable and helped us provide our audience with a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities facing small businesses today. I'm confident that our listeners will find them to be extremely helpful. I really appreciate your presence today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Once again, we would like to thank our exclusive banking partner, RBC, our exclusive shipping partner, UPS, and our exclusive accounting software partner, Xero, for supporting this initiative. Please share the podcast and feel free to check out the other episodes. Also, do not forget to subscribe to Canadian SME Small Business Magazine and Indigenous SME Magazine to stay up to date on all our upcoming events and get the top business insights from industry leaders. This is Karina, your host for the Small Business Podcast.